أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله
يا الله
أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وخليله بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح للأمة فكشف الله تعالى به الغمة وجاهد في الله حق جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين من ربه. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد الرحمة المهداة وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وعلى أصحابه وعلى من تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. All praises belonging to Allah Azza wa Jal. May the peace and blessings be upon His beloved Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and upon his family and companions in entirety. Ask Allah Azza wa Jal, on this blessed day of Friday, in the beginning of summer, as we have many of our children with us in Salat al-Jumu'ah, that He makes us a community that exudes prophetic character and a prophetic outlook towards the condition of the world today, a people that are deeply concerned for the condition of humanity and society, and are deeply committed to the betterment of the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ask Allah Azza wa Jal that He builds and nurtures within us the characteristics that'll make us true to our iman, sincere believers, and truly well-rounded in our dealings in our life. Allahumma ameen. And we pray to Allah Azza wa Jal as we continue to pray, and we will continue to pray. We continue to pray to Allah Azza wa Jal to give victory to our brothers and sisters in Palestine and in Gaza, and to the Ummah of Muhammad ﷺ all across the globe. We pray that Allah Azza wa Jal gives them strength and makes them firm and gives them resilience, continued resilience, and that He gives them victory over their oppressors. Allahumma ameen. Allahumma ameen. Brothers and sisters, in Dhul Hijjah and with Eid, we were reflecting on the legacy of Ibrahim alayhi salam and all that the Quran teaches us about him and who he was, and the good steward and leader for humanity, the example that he set forth for every leader to follow through. Brothers and sisters, and there's a portion of his legacy that is really important for us to reflect on right now, especially that we're all considering the next few months, summer, our children officially off of school, having a lot more time, and the condition of the world the way it is. I have to think about a big question, and that is, what will the next generation of believers look like? And what is my impact on that next generation? Every one of us, whether you're a mother, father, or not, whether you're someone who has family or not, I need to think about the inheritance of faith and iman by the next generation, and what will the next generation of human beings inherit from those before them. This is something we learn from Ibrahim alayhi salam. As Allah says, وَإِذِ ابْتَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبُّهُ بِكَلِمَاتٍ فَأَتَمَّهُنَّ قَالَ إِنِّي جَاعِلُكَ لِلنَّاسِ إِمَامًا قَالَ وَمِنْ ذُرِّيَّتِي. Ibrahim alayhi salam teaches us something that's integral. And every good steward, every good leader needs to have this in mind. What are the repercussions of my decisions and my actions? What's going to happen to those after me? Allah says, and remember when Allah tested Ibrahim alayhi salam with words and He fulfilled them and He gave them their full due. فَأَتَمَّهُنْ. He said, I'll make you a leader for people. The immediate response was, وَمِنْ ذُرِّيَّتِي. What about those after me and those who come later on? This mindset and this attitude is a critical one for all of us to have. And in fact, one of the things that concerns us with the direction of the world today is there's no effective means of accountability to dissuade the leaders of the world today who are driving humanity into the ground. The deeply and completely inconsiderate approach that leaders are taking today to the world that they will leave for the next generation to inherit. Something that should concern everybody, whether you're Muslim or non-Muslim. And the key word is effective. Don't tell me energy summits and solar power and efficient energy. No. You could become as efficient as possible with technology. But if the human being and the human psyche is destroyed and society is torn apart, what good is solar power? What good is energy if it's put to awful use to send bombs to kill innocent people? Sanctioned by the leaders of the world today. What good is that? The concern that we have as Muslims today, and we should teach this to our children, and we hope our children are listening carefully. The decisions today revolving around capitalism and political agendas and true warmongering are things that have devastating consequences. Brothers and sisters, if we look at the past century, you'll see a common trend of a name that is mentioned in all of the wars and all of the social disturbances. You fill in the blanks yourself. Study the past century and see who are the true warmongers. And for us as Muslims, as we're seeing what's happening in Gaza, and we should be very, very acutely aware of this, we're seeing the first cracks and fissures between Netanyahu and his government and his army, and between Netanyahu and his aides and supporters in our country in America. And it's becoming clear to everybody that people with power are hell-bent on keeping that power, even if it's at the expense of tens of thousands of people. Brothers and sisters, this is not politics. It's not politics. It's something that should awaken us, not just disturb us. It should awaken us as Muslims to our greater commitment and our mission. What should we be thinking about? How should we be looking at what's happening around the world? If you paid attention in the past week, his anger is because the weapons are not getting to him fast enough. And the hesitation by our government is because everyone's realizing these massive bombs are being sent down on buildings that have innocent people in them, and our brothers and sisters in Gaza are suffering because of that. Brothers and sisters, we as Muslims, and this goes into the Muslim psyche, the Muslim identity. We as Muslims, we don't seek death and destruction. Now, we've been speaking a lot about what's happening in the world, and some people on the other side of our streams and our cameras choose to take parts of what we say because they're dishonest and disingenuous and they're politically driven, and try to present this extremist attitude. Oh, the Muslims are extremists. Islam doesn't teach us to have death and destruction at heart for humanity. No, in fact, we're deeply disturbed because politics has been made a game at the expense of the lives of people. That's why in a recent khutbah we said that the two people running for presidency of our country are the true terrorists. Brothers and sisters, our Prophet ﷺ teaches us deep concern for humanity. لَعَلَّكَ بَاخِعٌ نَفْسَكَ أَلَّا يَكُونُوا مُؤْمِنِينَ. Perhaps, O Muhammad, you will ruin yourself because they're not believing. And we learn from our Habib Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, I can't be true to my Islam if I don't care about society. I'm going to say that again, and I hope our children and the younger audience here who's with us for the first khutbah probably in a while, let this register in your mind. Our Habib Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam teaches me to care about society. The Prophet ﷺ gives us an example of a people who don't care about what other people are doing and the consequences of their actions on society. Prophet ﷺ gives this detailed example. He says, مَثَلُ الْقَائِمِ عَلَى حُدُودِ اللَّهِ وَالْوَاقِعِ فِيهَا كَمَثَلِ قَوْمٍ اسْتَهَمُوا عَلَى سَفِينَةٍ. Prophet ﷺ says, you want to know the example of someone who's dutifully committed to the boundaries that Allah has put in place for the betterment of people, and someone who is deeply fallen across those boundaries and deeply breached and violated those boundaries. That's like a people on a ship. And some of the people on this ship are on the upper deck and some of them are on the lower deck. And the ones on the lower deck notice a crack in the bottom of the ship and they want water. So if they take matters into their own hands and don't seek the assistance of those on the upper deck, then the upper deck and the lower deck will all suffer. They're all going to sink and drown. But if those in the upper deck take heed of the condition on those on the bottom, those who need water, those who are suffering, they try to plug the holes in the bottom of this ship, then guess what? They're all going to be saved. Prophet ﷺ says, فَقَالُوا لَوْ أَنَّ خَرَقْنَا فِي نَصِيبِنَا خَرْقًا وَلَمْ نُؤْذِ مَنْ فَوْقَنَا. We're just going to do it on our own. فَإِن تَرَكُوهُمْ وَمَا أَرَادُوا هَلَكُوا وَهَلَكُوا جَمِيعًا. Islam teaches us, hey, you know what? My decisions are not for me, myself, and I alone. No, my decisions will affect my family. They'll affect my children. They'll affect my parents. My decisions run deep in terms of what's going to happen to me and maybe what's going to happen to the rest of society too. That's the attitude that Islam teaches us to have. Islam doesn't teach us to have this, it's none of my business attitude towards life. It's none of my business attitude towards life. No, that's not in Islam. Some people might use a verse in the Quran, abuse it, wrongfully use it. And they'll say, Allah says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا عَلَيْكُمْ أَنفُسَكُمْ لَا يَضُرُّكُمْ مَنْ ضَلَّ إِذَا اهْتَدَيْتُمْ. O you who believe, be keen on your own selves. You won't be harmed by those who are misguided if you're guided. This is what the literal translation of the verse says. And of course, this verse is understood in a completely different way. The explanation comes from one of the companions, Sayyidina Abu Bakr. He says, يا أيها الناس إنكم تقرؤون هذه الآية وإني سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إن رأى الناس الظالم فلم يأخذوا على يديه أوشك أن يعمهم الله بعقاب منه. It's an authentic hadith. Sayyidina Abu Bakr, he teaches us. He says, O you people, you read this verse and you understand it in a way that's very different than the way it should be understood. What is in my interest? What is my business? You know what? The betterment of society is in my business, right? The condition of the oppressed, that's in my business. That's in my wheelhouse. I should care about that. What do you mean? I'm this young person who's still in high school or still in college and I still don't even have my own life figured out. You want me to care about the rest of the world? Of course you should care about that's how we figure out our own personal lives, by caring about the rest of the world. Brothers and sisters, that's why this nonsensical attitude. There are some people in the audience, whenever they hear politics and names and Palestine and Netanyahu, they say, oh man, these khutbahs are always about politics. No, this is not politics, my brother. This is not politics. This is something that is deeply embedded in the Muslim psyche, to care about society. It's my business. I need to care about the oppressed person on the other side of this world who doesn't find something to eat. And I need to allow that to drive me in a wise, seasoned, practical way. Brothers and sisters, he says that the Prophet ﷺ teaches us, if the people see an oppressor and do nothing to stop him, then they are at risk of all being punished by Allah Azza wa Jal. That's what the Prophet ﷺ says in Sunan Abi Dawood, as it's reported, and in Sunan al-Tirmidhi or Jami' al-Tirmidhi. This is something that is deeply prophetic. Brothers and sisters, building the next generation. We have an opportunity. As long as we're in this dunya, I have a responsibility and an opportunity. I need to think about critical questions. This is how I can support the cause of the ummah. I had one of the young people in our community have a conversation with me. This is someone, it's atypical situation. It's a unique situation. Because most people, they're oblivious to what's happening in the world. But now, because of what's happening in Gaza and how deep the oppression runs, we have certain cases that are like this. People who are so devastated and affected by what they're seeing that they're having sleepless nights, that they can't focus, that they just want to give up on school and do something else with their life. It was a good conversation that I had with this young man. And the thought here is, well, you know what? I need to be committed to the long term. I need to change the condition of the ummah. How am I going to do that? We learned from our Prophet ﷺ deliberate thought. We learned from him strategic planning. We learned from him empathy and compassion. What are those characteristics is the question. What are those values and characteristics I want to instill within myself and within my children? How can I inspire a young mind and seed the values and characteristics needed for a comprehensive Muslim identity? What does that mean? What does that look like? How do I need to shape my mindset towards life and towards the world around me? And what are the most effective avenues to achieving that? I should think about this. Think about it. Yeah, we're going to have a ton of free time this summer, and the fun's going to be had. But is it part of something bigger? You know, I want every person to think about this, whether you're young or old, actually. The summertime usually gives us more freedom, more days off of work, more opportunities to spend time with family. A lot of people have that opportunity, especially for our young people who are still building their lives. Think about this. There's something bigger to life than me, myself, and I. And you know who teaches me that? My young brother or my young sister in Gaza and Palestine right now. Young people, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, teenagers, younger, older, who they've been forced to have this more critical outlook on life. This more real outlook on life. I need to be inspired by that. I need to allow that to change me. How can I change? Well, if I'm a student of the current events, I'm going to learn 5 things. I'm going to learn 5 things from the current events that are happening around the world today. I'm going to learn that I need to become more selfless. I need to decentralize my worldview. How can I do this? I need to spend less time that's dedicated to me, myself, and I need to incorporate in my schedule something that is selfless, something that doesn't give me a return on investment, something that isn't about me satiating my desires, me enjoying myself, me having fun. Yeah, you could have fun. But there needs to be something more in my schedule. I need to be committed. If I'm a member of the Ummah of Muhammad, I need to be committed to something more profound and more deep than that. I need to be mission-driven. That's number 2. I need to become selfless, and then I need to be mission-driven. Number 3, I need to have prophetic empathy and compassion. That's what Islam teaches me. To have towards everybody, every human being, having that compassion and that empathy. Number 4 is I need to be someone who's committed, someone who's willing to make sacrifices. And number 5, I need to be someone who's responsible. Responsible with my wealth, with my health, with my time, with my family, with my dependents if I have any. I need to be responsible. We learn from our Habib, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that he shaped the minds of young people during his time in a very prophetic way. Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam raised the young people up, right? This is what I need to do. I need to allow every young person to zoom out. Look at life through this prophetic lens. The Prophet ﷺ teaches Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, beautiful hadith that we all should know. When he tells Ibn Abbas, Ya ghulam, inni u'allimuka kalimat. Brothers, taqaddamu ila al-amam, ifsahu yafsahillahu lakum. The hall is full and it's really hot outside. So if you find any space, tazahamu tarahamu, please come forward. Any spaces, please come forward. But make sure you're sitting on a line. The beige lines that you see in front of you, sit on it. Jazakumullah khairan. Barakallah feekum. Tazahamu tarahamu. Make sure you don't have a lot of space between you and those next to you. We want everyone to get a space inside the hall. Don't leave any spaces empty. Barakallah feekum. This is part of compassion and empathy. If you were outside on 100 degrees, you're going to wish someone inside made a little space for you. So please, tazahamu tarahamu. Barakallahu feekum. يا غلام إني أعلمك كلمات احفظ الله يحفظك احفظ الله تجده تجاهك إذا سألت فاسأل الله وإذا استعنت فاستعن بالله واعلم أن الأمة لو اجتمعت على أن ينفعوك بشيء لم ينفعوك إلا بشيء قد كتبه الله لك وإن اجتمعوا على أن يضروك بشيء لم يضروك إلا بشيء قد كتبه الله عليك رفعت الأقلام وجفت الصحف. Beautiful hadith, frequently mentioned hadith. But this hadith needs to be given life through practice. We need to live this hadith. Prophet ﷺ says, guard Allah's boundaries, Allah will guard you. Guard Allah's boundaries and you'll find Allah at every juncture in your life. You'll find Allah facilitating your affairs, guiding you how to make decisions, guiding you and giving you blessings in what you have, guiding you and helping you deal with the mental health and the emotional issues that you're going through. Just live it. And know this, he goes on to say, that if everyone was to gather together to harm you with something, they're not going to harm you unless Allah decreed that you be affected by something. If they all gathered together to benefit you, they're not going to benefit you unless Allah Azza wa Jal decreed that you truly benefit from something. That's something. This is a very profound hadith. Again, it's important for the believer to take this from the realm of theory and try to see it in practice. Where do I see this applied? How do I see it lived? The Prophet, the companions had the Prophet ﷺ among them to be the living example of a hadith like this. We have those afflicted in our times when we look at the up-close and personal stories that we hear about Gaza, the up-close and personal stories that we've heard before about Syria, about other pockets in the Muslim world like Afghanistan, like Yemen, like Iraq. We have these like a ton of stories from the lives of people that could give life to Iman's values and the values of our deen and how they shape our outlook towards everything. I need to raise my children to feel the significance of life. Yeah, someone who kills time, someone who allows not one day, not two, not a week, not a month to pass by, wasted away, watching things, having fun, and going to hang out in places is someone who's missing out on something that's far more precious in life. The first day of the summer, first khutbah, the first Friday in the summer, I want to ask and urge our children, please remember this. We're part of the next generation of the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The struggle of my brothers and sisters in Palestine or in Lebanon or in Syria or in Afghanistan or elsewhere, that's my struggle too. I'm a member from the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I need to act like it. I need to live by that. I need to beware of missed opportunities. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam reminds us of this. You know, it's a hadith that we mention so much in our khutab. But it needs to register and become a mode of living and practice. اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس. Take advantage of 5 before 5. Well, you know what? Every person who is elderly or struck in their health or going through some real difficult times in their dunya will tell you, hey, I'm on the other side. Don't miss out on this hadith. Prophet ﷺ says, take advantage of your youth before your old age. Every person who's lived a lifetime will tell you, hey, take advantage of your youth. You're going to blink once, twice, and you're going to find yourself an old man or an old woman. اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس. Take advantage of your health before you become ill and you can't function. You can't move around. Take advantage of your free time before you're so consumed with having to pay bills and care for your family and run after responsibilities in work and life that you can't think about anything else. Take advantage of time. This is what the Prophet ﷺ tells us. And this one relates to us all. All right, those are for the younger people. Now this one relates to every single one of us. Take advantage of your life before your death. I'm here today. I may not be here tomorrow. The Prophet ﷺ, in the end of this hadith says, وَحَيَاتَكَ قَبْلَ مَوْتِكَ. There's no one here who can escape this one. Yeah, I've missed out on my youth or my health or my wealth or whatever it is. I have life. I have time. What am I going to do with it? How am I going to take advantage of it? How am I going to leave something behind that contributes to the betterment of the next generation? This is how the Muslim thinks, brothers and sisters. Brothers and sisters, intentionality has a deep impact. Let me put the intention today. Let me realize that I am on a mission. Let me own that mission. Because once I set that intention, I'll at least set myself up to better taking advantage of time, because many people are cheated out of their time. Another hadith that we always mention. نِعْمَتَانِ مَغْبُونٌ فِيهِمَا كَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ. There are 2 blessings, many people are cheated out of these blessings. الصحة والفراغ. Health and free time. They're cheated out of it by the shaitan, by the nafs, by everything else that comes about in life. Brothers and sisters, I, as someone who's a member of the ummah of Muhammad ﷺ, put myself next to the members of the ummah of Muhammad ﷺ and realize that I need to develop myself so that we see true nasr and victory. Brothers and sisters, our belief is that victory comes about when the mindsets and the attitudes change. It's not about military might, it's not about political clout, it's not about networking and communication. It is ultimately about the nafs and reforming the nafs. And that's why the people of Gaza are resilient. It's not because of anything else. They're resilient because the realities of life forced them to look at their nafs with a more critical eye. And that's why the powers of the world, no matter how many bombs they pummel, and no matter how many times they try to twist and change things, that's another thing that happened, a very unfortunate thing, wallahi, very unfortunate. And may Allah Azza wa Jalla allow us to see the end of the corruption of Zionism soon. In this past week, they're still working. With their moral bankruptcy, they're still working to twist definitions and change realities. With the IRA definition, they're trying to pass a bill in our New Jersey legislator, that makes speaking out against Israel a form of anti-Semitism. That's our issue with the IRA definition, I-H-R-A. Brothers and sisters, our issue with that is the twisting of facts. They're still trying. I need to be someone who cares about this reality, and I need to work towards changing it. And that starts with me changing my nafs. It really goes back to those fundamentals. We learned the first supporters of the message of Islam were young people. Why? One of the elders among the companions was Sayyidina Abu Bakr. And he was only 38 when he became Muslim. When he was a follower of the Prophet ﷺ, who received this revelation when he was 40, Sayyidina Abu Bakr was in his 30s. And he was considered a relatively older companion in those early days of Islam. Why were they the carriers of the message? Because that youthfulness that they had gave them certain advantages. What were those advantages? Healthy bodies? Energy? No, bigger than that. The strength in accepting advice, in being open to change. One of the biggest reasons why the kuffar of Quraysh disbelieved was because they weren't willing to change. What did they say? إِنَّا وَجَدْنَا آبَاءَنَا عَلَى أُمَّةٍ وَإِنَّا عَلَى آثَارِهِمْ مُهْتَدُونَ. We found our forefathers doing something, we're not going to veer away from that. I'm going to stay committed to that. Unwillingness to change, that's what led to kufr in the past. Am I someone who's unwilling to change? If I'm unwilling to change and pivot, then guess what? I'm not going to be able to contribute to changing the world. Am I someone who can't accept advice? If that's the case, then no matter how young I am, my youth will not help me. If I don't benefit from the examples of those before me, if I'm not a student of history, if I'm not a student of current events, what's happening around in the world, and I am to those realities deaf, dumb, and blind, then guess what? I'm going to stumble a whole lot in life. Brothers and sisters, the youth were always carriers of the message. And the reason why that is because it starts with me being honest with my nafs. I need to be honest with how am I spending my time? What drives me? Do I feel this sense of ummah? Do I feel this prophetic care and compassion? I need to. And this is how I need to start framing my identity and my attitudes. Am I responsible for dealing with the problem of poverty? Yes. Even if I don't have a dime in my bank account. It all starts with me shaping my attitudes towards things. Me realizing what the bigger things that are at play. This is what people who are agenda-driven are blind to. They see it as two warring parties. They see it as the Palestinians are extremists, and they're intolerant, and they're anti-Semitic. But they don't realize that historically from day one, Israel, when it was formulated, instead of being a good steward and a good leader, they have the technology, they have the weaponry, they have the support from the superpowers. It was founded on brutality. It was founded on subjugation. They were never about truly finding peace. I, as a Muslim, am committed to something bigger. It's not about allegiances or alliances. It's not about me imposing myself. It's about me truly trying to find goodness for humanity. This goodness is not just for Muslims, it's for humanity altogether. But when you subjugate a people and remove opportunity and you make their life difficult at every twist and turn, that's part of the problem of poverty. Our brothers and sisters across the world are suffering from this. When you look at all the Muslim countries, you name it, you'll find a consistent thread. That's lack of opportunity. Between all of that, how does that contribute to the problems of, how does lack of opportunity contribute to the problems of the world today, brothers and sisters? That should be the real question that politicians should care about. Brothers and sisters, am I responsible for changing something wrong? Yes, I am. That's how my identity is shaped as a Muslim. I need to care about that. Even if I can't change it myself. All of us are deeply disturbed because we can't change what's happening in Palestine right now. We're all deeply disturbed. But I know, deep down inside, part of my identity, I'm responsible for changing the munkar and the wrongfulness that's happening in the world. I have that care and that responsibility that Islam puts on my shoulder. The conversation is deep and long, but this is a beginning, hopefully, to every single one of us thinking of those bigger challenges that we're all facing and trying to find solutions to them. ادعوا الله وأنتم موقنون بالإجابة. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد أشرف الخلق وسيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. أما بعد, brothers and sisters, building the next generation is centered on a whole lot of things. Among them is speaking about, what does it mean? What does sacred manhood mean? What does sacred womanhood mean? What does it mean to be a responsible leader in this world that we live in today? What does it mean to address the bigger challenges of people today? How can I begin to develop myself and invest in myself in a way that helps answer these bigger struggles and these bigger questions? We ask Allah Azza wa Jal that we're part of the solution for humanity, that we're part of the solution for the Ummah of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that Allah forgives us our many shortcomings, that He makes us better people. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to figure out the personal struggles that we all have. And may Allah Azza wa Jal make our iman something that's dynamic and profound in nature. Allahumma ameen. Allahumma ighfir lana warhamna wa'afina wa'fu anna wa tajawaz an sayyiatina. Allahumma ighfir li saghirina wa kabirina wa dhakarina wa unthana wa shahidina wa ghaibina. اللهم من أحييته منا فأحيه على الإيمان ومن أمته منا فأمته على الإسلام. اللهم اجعل خير عمرنا آخرة واجعل خير عملنا خواتمة واجعل خير أيامنا يوم نلقاك فيه وأنت راض عنا. آمين آمين. وأخذ عنا الحمد لله بكم الصلاة. تكييف طفى. Air conditions off.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
لا إله إلا استقيموا يرحمني يرحمكم الله. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها وأخرجت الأرض أثقالها وقال الإنسان ما لها يومئذ تحدث أخبارها بأن ربك أوحى لها يومئذ يصدر الناس أشتاتا ليروا أعمالهم فمن يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يره ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شرا يره. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره إنه كان توابا. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وله. We have our summer programs starting up on July 8th until August 8th. If you want to register your children, we have a bunch of different summer programs. You could see them on the posters hung out outside. So consider registering them for that. We have a Quran camp that's happening in ICPC Clifton here. And it's Monday through Thursday, 9:30 a.m. to Dhuhr, inshallah. And there's a lot of activities for the kids and trips for them, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, that you could register them for, inshallah. We also have the general summer program that's going to be in ICPC Patterson. And we also have, we also have our youth programs for the boys and for the girls. You'll find all the details outside. We don't have the Friday forum tonight. Our programming in the masjid is going to be resuming from Sunday, inshallah. We have 2 dua requests, one from Brother